What's good, everyone? Today I want to talk about my experience with investing in coaching, investing in mentorships, investing in like courses on how to make money online. Because I know a lot of people are very skeptical about it. They're not sure if it's real, that it might be a scam. They're not sure if they need it or it's actually worth it. And I want to give my opinion because I've had my fair share of good and bad experiences. I have been scammed, but then I've also learned a lot. I've learned actual valuable skills that make me a lot of money. But overall, I've spent like $25,000 collectively on courses. So I've got a bit of knowledge, I've got a bit of experience. So I wanted to share it for you guys. So initially for me, right, prior to like making money online, investing in anything, I dropped out of school at 16 and got into construction. So I worked construction for about 4 years, and I've always liked the idea of making money online, right? But the biggest thing for me, I was just like everyone else, never really wanted to spend money on courses, mentorship, and YouTube was always there. So I kind of was self-taught. I was able to make some, pretty decent money, extra, a couple thousand per month on my own with like drop shipping, with like SMMA, with like crypto. Like I've made money online prior to investing into anything, but I always found myself at a point where I couldn't scale. I couldn't make consistent money where I could like leave my apprenticeship or, do this full time, make enough where, my parents are kind of like happy with how I'm going because it's actually working out for me and that sort of thing, right? So for me, I was at a point where I was watching a lot of YouTube. I was making money, but I needed extra help. Like that was the reality. I was kind of lost. I wanted to scale my income from like a couple grand a month to, 10,000 a month at least, but I just didn't know how. That's when I first looked into getting this course. It was about $1,000, right? And it was pretty shit. Like I would say this was my first time getting like scammed. Look, the guy like guaranteed me that I was going to make 10K a month. There was absolutely no help there. It was just a bunch of videos, a bunch of PDFs. Didn't really get me anywhere. And then I invested to be honest, at that stage, I had a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, fuck, like I just invested money, didn't get anything out of it. I don't want to look at anything for a bit. But yeah, I went back to my job and sort of not really looked into making money online for a little while. But then I kind of came to a realization. I was like, fuck, like if I give up, I'm just going to stay stuck in the spot that I don't want to be in, which was construction, right? So I was like, fuck, I've got to go back at this and invest more money into something else. Because what made the most sense to me was I was watching YouTube. I couldn't get to the point where I wanted to, which was like, say, 10K a month, because there was a lack of knowledge there, right? I needed something to bridge my knowledge from where I was at there, making, 2K a month to 10K a month, but I didn't have the answers. So it was like I came to the realization, for me personally, because I couldn't work it out, I needed mentorship. I needed coaching. I needed some sort of course to help me bridge that gap. Now, that's not to say everyone needs it. Some people are a bit smarter than me. Look, I dropped out of school at 16 years old, and I was working with my hands, working with tools for a good 4 fucking years. So, I needed that extra help. I don't recommend it to absolutely everyone unless you need help. So, basically, went back to my trade, was like, fuck, I need the extra help. And I was like, okay, I'm going to invest more into different things. Started looking into different coaching, started looking into different mentorships. And I'll be honest, I spent a good probably between 5 to 6 grand on these different coaches, mentors that still didn't really get me to the point that I wanted to. Wasn't as helpful as I felt like I needed. I'd text them and like they wouldn't always reply, or they weren't always down to have a call or have a chat and answer my questions. So there was quite a few months where I just couldn't get what I needed, right? And I kept getting thrown off to be like, oh, fuck, man, like, I need this extra help, but I'm waiting on these other people and they're not doing their thing and I'm still stuck in my job. And I was kind of getting a little bit, what's the word? Just, I guess, pissed off, for lack of better words. I was just like, dude, I want to get to this point, but I still couldn't figure it out. And, I had invested like 7K into different stuff at this stage and still hadn't got anywhere. And this was over like a good year period of just trying to figure this shit out. Until I just invested into this other mentorship, which was more like learning skills, learning like sales and marketing more specifically. And I started focusing more on like actually learning instead of ecom, because that's what I was learning before, like ecom, SMMA, all those other business models. I was like, dude, I need to focus on a particular high income skill, because if I can focus on that, then I don't have to worry about all the specifics with business, right? I can just focus on one thing at a time. So I focused on learning sales, learning marketing as well. And yeah, I actually got a mentorship where I would be able to get the one-on-one support I needed. I had the step-by-step guide there for me. Sorry, I just spat. And I had the community, which I think was something I was really lacking for a long time, was actually having a group of people that, was in a similar situation to me, used to be in a trade or used to be in a 9-to-5 job or a retail job or whatever, same age as me, same sort of ambitions and wavelength that we were sort of on, right? So I would say until I invested into that, that was what really helped. Now, it cost quite a bit to invest in this mentorship, I'll be honest. But the thing is when I was opting in for cheaper options, I wouldn't get the services I needed. And the realization I had was, if I want, realistically, right, if I want to get rich, I want to get taught by the best, right? Just like if you were to learn basketball, you'd rather get taught by LeBron James than some Donnie at, the park, right? I wanted to get taught by millionaires, not some guy who makes 10K a month or some guy that drives a Toyota Corolla, Like, I want to get taught by the best. And the biggest thing I realized is a millionaire's time is worth a lot of money, right? If the guy makes just $1 million a year, I say just, but if he makes $1 million a year, that's $20,000 a week. That's like $500 an hour is the math, right? So the guy is worth $500 an hour. If I want one-on-one support and I want him to work with me as much as I can, it's gonna cost me a lot of money. But that's the realization I had to come to, because I felt like I needed that help. I needed that one-on-one support. I needed that coaching. I needed someone to answer my questions when I wanted it. And I wanted it to get answered by the best person, the most qualified guy. So I won't lie, I invested into something that was over like 5 figures. Now, I know it's a lot of money, but the biggest thing for me was I, once again, was here, but I wanted to be here. And because I was in construction for about 4 or 5 years, I was like, fuck, man, like, where am I going to end up if I never bridge this knowledge? I bridge the knowledge gap, I should say, right? Again, like, I don't know how to make more money. And for me, I was like, okay, fuck, I'll invest this money. I'll at least learn how to make 10K a month. And that's what I did. I made my money back in like a month with this particular group of guys, mentorship. And now, like, literally last week, I made 12K Australian in a single week. So now I've literally made my investment back, or almost, my investment back in just a single week from learning the skills of sales and marketing, from getting mentorship. Now, once again, a lot of people might be like, fuck, you invested that much money. You invested over 25 grand into courses, mentorships. How are you willing to do that? And it's a very good question, right? Especially when I was broke. Like, the biggest thing for me at the time was I was like making $1,000 a week. I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. I only had like $1,000 to my name at the time of investing in this like 5-figure mentorship. And again, the same thoughts went through my head. I was really scared to do it, but I was just like, I was so unhappy with my situation and unhappy with where I was going to go if I didn't do anything, that I was like, fuck, man, I just got to try. Like, I felt like I was just in this process of just trying until something eventually worked out. And that's kind of what it was. Like, I got to that point where I tried multiple things and failed, and, it eventually did work out in the end. But you kind of have to have that mentality. And, you can go figure it out on your own and not spend any money at all, but it's just going to take more time. Like, something I also realized is, you think about it, you have money, you have time, but what's more valuable? There's nothing more valuable than your time, right? And if you spend all your time not trying to spend any money on mentorship or guidance, you're actually wasting more money by wasting time. Because how do you make more money? You need time. You need time to learn skills, and then you can make more money, right? But you can never make back time. So it made the most sense for me. I was like, fuck, I've already been trying to make money online for a year, haven't gotten anywhere with it, and I continue not to get anywhere with it until I get guidance. And that was just a small price I had to pay, right? So once again, I guess to finish off this video, there are a lot of mentorships, a lot of courses, a lot of like scams out there. Don't get me wrong, I've had my fair share. But if you feel like you need extra help, I really do recommend it. Just from someone that is a guy that dropped out of school, worked a trade, worked construction. I'm definitely not the smartest tool in the shed. The smartest tool in the shed, the sharpest tool in the shed. That just proves it, eh? I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Like, I needed that extra fucking help. I needed that. But not everyone does. I know guys that make 100K a month and did it on their own, but for me personally, I needed that. Heaps of people ask me, what did you get to the point where you're at now? And I do really recommend it to people that really want to take their life to the next level and genuinely make a change for yourself. But if you can figure it out on your own and you're willing to spend that amount of time just trying to figure it out on your own, like, be my guest. But it's definitely not what I recommend. Like, people will dead set take like 2 years just grinding on their own from start to finish, trying to figure something out. I know I have mates still trying to figure it out on their own because they're not willing to invest in themselves. I'm like, dude, like, you have living proof of me doing it. Like, I have this one mate who's like been trying for a good 2 years, still hasn't made any money because he refuses to do it. And I'm like, I hope that other people in a similar situation don't make that mistake. But it really is up to you what you think makes the most sense. But yeah, that was my experience. You're going to have your fair share there. You're just going to have to get used to failure as well. Like, there's going to be times where something doesn't work out. I think the number one thing you need to look for is not guarantees, right? Because no one can guarantee you success. Even if you pay like 100K, right, hypothetically, on a mentorship or a course, no one can guarantee you results. It's kind of like the gym. Like, even if you pay for the best gym in the world with the best PTs and the best nutrition plans, if you don't show up and do the work, you're never going to get jacked. You're never going to have those goals that you actually want for yourself. So you need to put the work in, but you need to be guaranteed the tools you can get. You need to also look at other student testimonials and see, okay, was this guy in a similar situation to me? Yes. Was this girl in a similar situation to me? How quick were they able to make their success? If it's possible for them, why not me? That's, I feel like, the mentality you need to have. But be careful with looking at different mentorships and stuff. Like I said before, it could be a scam. It could not. But yeah, I went through a bunch, but finally found one that worked. And if you guys are interested in learning more about the one I went through, you can just shoot me a DM. I can see if I can get them a call with you. But that's pretty much it. So that's my experience. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it of some value. But to end it off, you don't need it. But if you feel like you can't take the next step without it, then definitely get mentorship.